Hey y'all, it's your girl Missniecy, and I'm here to do a review for Sistas Season 6, Episode 14. The episode picks up where it left off, and Zach is still beating the brakes off of Bones. And as Bones is getting the brakes beat off of him, two guys come in out of nowhere to help save Bones. And they start jumping Zach, stumping him and punching him, right? So Fatima lets off a warning shot so that the guys can get off of Zach. And as Fatima's putting her gun away, little Michael comes out with his Nerf gun, ready to protect his daddy. I'm like, but no kid should be subject to things like that. Fatima tells the guys, do you know who the F I am? Bones is like, who the F are you? Then Fatima's like, roll your sleeves up. Bones says, I ain't doing it. Fatima says, don't play with me, roll your sleeves up. So they roll their sleeves up, and Fatima identifies them. So she makes a call, and of course the call is to Madam. Fatima tells Madam all of their information. When she hangs up the phone with Madam, she turns back to Zach, and Zach is talking to Michael, trying to comfort him and telling him that everything will be okay. And Fatima comforts him as well, telling him that I'm Fatima and this is your daddy Zach, and we're gonna do everything to make sure that you're safe. Then J Bones' phone starts ringing, and Fatima's like, is your phone ringing? J Bones picks up the phone, and you can tell that it's Madam because you can see the fear in his eyes as he's talking on the phone. And as soon as he hangs up, he's trying to apologize, but Zach and Fatima ain't trying to hear all that. Fatima actually says, I'm not the one that you're supposed to be apologizing to. You see Zach and Fatima and little Michael outside, and Zach is asking Fatima, what was that? Fatima's basically like, you ask no questions, I tell you no lies. Then the nosy neighbor walks up, and she's like, what was that? Did I hear a gunshot? Zach is like, no. The neighbor was like, I know a gunshot when I hear it, and that's what it sounded like. Actually, I hope you killed that mofo. And as Zach, Fatima, and Mike are heading to the car, a group of guys in all black walk up. I'm like, I wonder if those are the same guys that helped Fatima beat up Hayden. Over at Billy Jake's, Andy and Jordan are still talking, and they're talking about their embarrassing moments in their childhood. And Jordan asks Andy, has she ever been engaged or married? And Andy says, no, I've never been married, but I've been engaged before. And Jordan's like, I'm surprised you're not sad about it. Jordan said, being that you're a divorce attorney, I think that you'd be sad about seeing lots of divorces. And Andy's like, I'm not sad, but it does make me cautious for when I start liking somebody. And Jordan's like, yeah, I know. Then Andy's like, I did have a good time, but I have to go to work in the morning, and we were only supposed to be here an hour. And Jordan says, yeah, we ended up being here for 3 hours. Jordan's like, I don't want this night to end. Jordan's like, every flame that you light quickly will die quickly. And then Andy's like, well, cheers to a slow burning fire. Then we see Zach and Fatima in the car, and Zach is still asking Fatima, what was that? And Fatima's like, we can't talk right now because he's sleeping. So Zach says, I'll pull over and you get in the front so we can talk. He asks Fatima, what was that? Fatima says, the less you know, the better. But she does tell Zach that the guys that were called work for her cousin, Madam. And he's like, oh, wow. It's like that. Fatima's like, the less you know, the better, right? And Zach is like, what did they do, kill him? Fatima's like, I don't know. And then Fatima starts talking about how she feels bad for little Michael, and he was so scared, and how no kid should be treated like that, and it makes her look at Zach in a different light because of how he was treated with his mother. Zach is like, can we not talk about that right now because I'm driving and I don't want to be emotional. Fatima's like, I just wanted to let you know that I think you're very strong and that you had to deal with a lot. But she also tells Zach, you need to talk to Heather before she starts coming at us crazy like we did something wrong. Zach is like, I'll talk to her. Fatima's like, you better. Back over at Billy Jake's, Andy and Jordan are putting their plan into motion of them pretending like they had such a bad date in front of their friends. And Sabrina and Danny are like, what's going on here? Do we have to fight? And Sabrina acting like she all prepared to fight, except for the like, girl, sit down. You ain't never fought in your life. Danny's like, are you for real? Because I'm having a good time. But then they finally reveal that they were just playing and that they had a good time. Tony's like, I had a good time too. And Rich is like, I had a good time too. Tony and Rich ask Sabrina and Danny both out on dates. And Sabrina says, I don't know if I can because I have a lot going on right now. And Danny says, you know I can't because I'm with Preston. Asked Andy, can she see him tomorrow? And Andy's like, you want to see me that soon? Jordan's like, yeah, if you would say yes. And Andy said, well, I don't know about that, but we'll see. So they all get up from the table and they're about to head out. And Jordan says, 3 of y'all come over tomorrow at my place and I'll cook for y'all at 8. And Andy's like, I don't know, but I'll come if they come. And Sabrina's like, I'll come. And Danny's like, you know I can't come, I got Preston. And then Andy says, Danny, please come. Danny says, yeah. But we all know that that's going to lead to trouble for Danny. And I'm like, Jordan, why would you ask them girls over to your place and you just met them? You don't even know Andy's friends. And you barely know Andy. And Andy, why would you even accept that offer? Then Jordan says, well, let's get on the bus. Andy's like, the bus? I don't do the bus. So they spent like 20 minutes talking about trying to convince Andy to get on the bus. Andy's like, I'm not doing it. But then she eventually decides to go. And Danny has to tell him, you lucky, because she drives a Rolls Royce. And Tony's like, she really do? And Danny's like, yeah. But Andy said, the only way I know how to get on the bus is because I rode one in Tallahassee. Over at Hayden's house, we see Hayden trying to call Tamara, and Tamara's still not answering, but he's still begging. Then Hayden receives a knock on the door, and the knock is from Gary, because Gary came over to get some paperwork from Hayden about the taxes. And Gary sees that Hayden is still torn up over Tamara, and Gary's on this whole let Tamara go, she ain't coming back. And Hayden ain't trying to hear that. Hayden throws it up in Gary's face like, you want me to let Tamara go the way that you let Andy go? And Gary's like, you didn't have to go there. But Gary says, well, you was still acting crazy over Fatima. And Hayden's like, I'm not worried about Fatima no more because I got Tamara. Gary's like, right. Hayden's like, enough about me though. You should really be worried about Andy. Because she was talking to Fatima earlier. And she said that she's going out on a date tonight with the guy that she met from a dating app. And Gary's like, no she not. She just bluffing. And Hayden's like, if you see the dress that she had on, that's not bluffing. And Gary's all like, I'm not worried about those dudes. After Hayden shows Gary the profile, he's like, I'm not worried about it. Gary truly does care because after Hayden showed him the profile, Gary's like, are we done here? I gotta go. Hayden's like, to do what? To go find Andy? And Gary's like, no, I'm not you. And Hayden's like, I'm not a creep. I just want my wife to be home. But I did go over to her house and nobody entered. And Gary's basically like, what do you expect? But Gary gets up to leave, and before he leaves, he calls Hayden and acts like Tamara. And Hayden falls for it at first, but then he realizes it's Gary. Over at Karen's, we see Karen looking through her cabinets, and she's realizing that she has no food in there. so she has to go to the grocery store. She gets a call, and the call is from Pam, and she tells Pam that she was on her way to the grocery store, and Pam is like, it's dark outside, why don't you call Aaron? Karen's like, I'm not doing that. Pam is like, I know he gets on your nerves, but I know that he'll go for you. Karen's like, I'm not doing that. But then Pam is like, I just called to check on you, and I also wanted to let you know that I might have to find another job if you can't get the shop open, because my rent is due and I ain't got. Karen tells Pam that she could file for unemployment, and Pam is like, I'm not doing that. Pam is like, what you shouldn't have did was torn up that check from Zach and we would have been okay. And Karen's like, can you stop? As the girls are walking with Jordan, Rich, and Tony to catch the bus, they're talking and they're just talking and having conversation, and Sabrina and Rich are talking, and Rich is like, you know you're special. Sabrina's like, what makes me special? Rich is like, I know special when I see it. And then Rich is like, what's going on with you? Because Sabrina's all like, I don't know if I can do this. And Rich is like, well, let me do some magic and then I could take all your worries away. So then he does this little cute magic trick and it makes Sabrina laugh. As everybody's walking, Jordan notices the flower lady. So he goes over to the flower lady with the rest of the guys, and they all buy each of the lady a rose. And when they return with the roses, Tony hands Danny hers, Rich hands Sabrina hers, and Jordan takes Andy's flower and puts it in her hair, and Andy's giggling, and you could really tell that she's having fun with Jordan. The bus finally arrives and everybody takes their seats, and Jordan and Andy are talking. Jordan notices that Andy's uncomfortable, and Andy reveals that this is reminding her of her childhood when her and her mom used to catch the bus. And Jordan's like, where's your dad? Andy's like, he's gone, and I think this is the first time we ever heard Andy talk about her parents. Jordan also tells Andy that he wants to kiss her, and Andy's like, I don't kiss on the first date. And Jordan's like, technically, this would be our third. Then we see Tony and Danny having a conversation, and Tony is telling Danny that despite everything she went through, she's very strong and she's very beautiful, and she's one of a kind, and she's a 10. And Danny's like, I'm actually a 15, and you're too good to be true. And Tony's like, why is that? And Danny's like, it's because I'm committed. Tony's like, even though you're committed, are you happy? And Danny is like, what makes you happy? And Tony's like, I'm happy right now, right here. And Danny is just blushing. And I'm like, girl, you're in a whole relationship. Then Rich says, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Coach Brown. And Rich is like, this reminds me of the time that he gave us that speech. And the girl's like, what speech? And Rich is like, the speech that he gave us about being good men. And Tony says, being a good father. Jordan says, being a good husband. And Tony's like, he taught us how to be men and how to be stand-up men. And Danny's like, well, what do you say about your divorces? And Andy co-signs and says, yeah, that. In unison, the guys say, he said, leave that be. And the girls start laughing. And Rich is like, on his deathbed, he made us go to the gym in our old high school. And he was telling us how he's been married to his wife for like 75 years, I think. And Sabrina's like, well, I wish I could find that. And Rich is like, maybe you can. As they're talking, the bus driver tells them that they have to get off the bus. And Andy's like, what? The girls and Tony, Rich, and Jordan are all outside. And Andy's like, I'll call a rideshare. So she calls the rideshare. And Jordan's like, is that enough for us? And Andy's like, no, y'all grown men, y'all can find your own way. And Tony's like, that was cold-blooded. And Andy's like, no, it's not. And the guys are all like, we all had a good time, though. And Rich is like, maybe I could see you again, Sabrina. And Sabrina's like, I don't know if I can. And Rich is like, of course you can. And Sabrina reiterates and says, I don't know if I can. And she calls on Andy to save her, which I don't know why, because you're a grown woman, Sabrina. But they all say their goodbyes, and they agree to see each other again when they can. And Danny's like, I don't know about y'all, but that felt different to me. And for some reason, I liked it. And Andy's like, I like them too, I agree. And Sabrina's like, I had a good time too. And Andy said, did we actually find 3 good men in Atlanta? And the girl's like, maybe. At the grocery store, we see Zach and Fatima, and they're picking up stuff for little Michael. And as they're coming out the aisle, they see somebody, and they see Karen. So you mean to tell me out of all the grocery stores in Atlanta, they have to be at the same one? How do you think Karen's going to react to seeing Zach and his son and Fatima in the grocery store all together? Let me know what you guys think about the episode. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, turn on your bell notifications. Bye!